this game a lot more challenging.
We were kind of mentioning, though, that maybe KP is going to have a bit of a difficult time as actually down bottom. DB. Oh, that's a beautiful way to start for DB, moving to the off lane. Finds their second kill of the game here for Army Geniuses, able to bring down 23 Savage.
I'm telling you, this Army Geniuses draft is looking fairly solid to me. And well, the laning stage is just going to go further towards that. I mean, the mid lane isn't quite as pronounced of an issue, but ammietah is just going to feel even more confident to press on forward, not worry about the right clicks coming through from the puck. You can just see they're looking to out-CS him. You've already got like a 10 right-click advantage, and he's going to look to exploit that as much as possible.
I do see, though, Breeze is just up to his shenanigans, and this is kind of what we were expecting out of this lane, though, top. Talon, it's not really easy for them to be able to match up into this Ursa lane. Of course, one of the carries that are play incredibly strong early on. Does have some weaknesses, level 1 and level 2, but it's nothing that Talon can look to do to address this. So I like this from them. Just look to avoid and get what as little farm and experience they can possibly find.
Yeah, I mean, I do value Talon's ability to be able to just find that little bit more farm, be a tiny bit more efficient around the map, and well, that's where they could look to bring themselves ahead.
They're diving under the tower, hide in a little bit of trouble, but 23 Savage attempting to turn it back around onto DB, but they will not have the damage to secure the kill onto the Dawnbreaker. Army Geniuses is doing a pretty good job, though, to be able to prevent the Wraith King from safely farming under this tower.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they go for that dive right when that doubled up creep wave is there, right? Because it means that you need to make a decision. Do you try and save your own life, or do you try and get a few of that last hits? And it did mean that the Wraith King had to let a few of those creeps go underneath the tower just while he was trying to protect his Dazzle.
Back onto DB. Dawnbreaker trying to get... He's actually going to go back in on DB, so... maybe looking to do as much damage as he can before he's killed off. So there we go. First kill of the game picked up for Talon. 23 Savage going to be able to secure that one. And we do see he's off to a pretty good start in the lane. 21 last hits. Going to be working on the phase boots into the armlet. Nothing too crazy for the Wraith King.
Nah, certainly not. I mean, maybe it means that he's trying to pick up the pace a little bit more, free up a bit more time for KP on his Brewmaster, because it is just so important, right, that you try and distract away from the Brewmaster. We know what happens with KP if he's able to get a good start to the game. He can just completely take things over.
DB. The damage they're pumping to hide, 23 Savage. He himself will not be able to rectify the death onto the Dazzle, so once again, Army Genius is really proving how difficult this bottom lane can shape up.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the mid lane, ammietah just, again, more and more denies looking to come through. He's got 7 more than this puck. This is what happens. This was the classic matchup from back in the day. And, well, they're just looking to bring it back a little bit. Army Geniuses with that unorthodox pick and play style might be catching Talon a little bit off guard.
That should help.
You just need to go into the boots of speed there on the Ursa, sorry, on the Brewmaster. Oftentimes, you just want the freedom to be able to instantly go into that urn, to get a quick kill, to use that to transition into more potential kills, make him use a little bit more on the regen, or go into an earlier lifesteal item as opposed to damage, but you're up against an Ursa. You need the ability to be able to run away from a lot of the attention that he's giving you, so early boots of speed on KP kind of slows down some of his other timings.
Lane puck, gonna be in a little bit of trouble. They need the follow-up stun, but Hyde able to protect him thanks to the grave, but the rest of Army Geniuses might turn their attention over to Q. They've already used the abilities though, so they will not be able to keep up with the Nyx Assassin, but this is important for Talon to bring the numbers. They really need to shut down this first Elder Dragonform usage along with the catapult. They might get the kill as well. ammietah stepping up a little bit too far. Hyde and Q in combination together. The Poison Touch shouldn't be able to tick him out, but Q has the movement speed to try and chase him down. The Impale, that's going to be what's required to secure the kill. Q, unfortunately, with it still on cooldown, so the DK will be able to reposition, and now maybe Q stepped too far forward, but Narman, along with the Sky, is going to let him escape it. Now bottom lane, 23 Savage and DB. A little mano a mano, seeing who's able to come out on top.
Most of the time, that is going to be the door breaker.
And not this time, at least. Not with Hyde and Q showing up. Q's going to step in. Easy kill. Hyde actually finds it with the last tick of the poison touch.
Well, that wasn't really a mano, was it? It was me and a couple of my boys coming through to gank this door breaker. But what was looking like a pretty hard start to the game? Just look at Savage. Look at that net worth. Already separating himself a little bit from the rest of the pack. Of course, KP, you're into an Ursa. This is what happens up on this top side of the map. Ursa's been able to pretty freely farm up here. So it's really what In Your Dream looks to do early on into this. Like, is he going to be able to transition and push forward, maybe around that 10-minute timing with the catapult? It's very important that Dire takes away the mid tier 1 tower with how easy it is to be able to invade, particularly from the right-hand side. And it means that Roshan is just opened up so much more for you to play around.
We do see In Your Dreams also working on the Battle Fury this game. So looking to try and scale as best as he can. It's a very good Ursa game in regards to what we mentioned versus the Puck. I think the matchup versus Wraith King can be pretty solid as well. But I really feel like as a game counter, Brewmaster is one of the best.
Yeah, just being able to toss him up in the air. This almost certainly is a game where you want to be going the Yule Scepter on Makoto here. You can't get away with just going this greedy build where you don't go in, because you're up against Ursa with Enrage, you're up against Mystic Flare. Like, you just need to have that little bit of defensive capabilities for yourself. Luckily picking up that double damage though is Mamang Dire. They were looking to try and get that pick off onto Hyde with the lift up coming through from Narman, but wisely enough, backing up, bringing the creep wave with him. So if they could just waste another Elder Dragon form usage, this would be pretty enormous.
And they can even consider bringing KP to try and defend this tower. They do have the first Primal Split, and I don't know if they'll probably need Puck and a +1 support to rotate top to kill In Your Dream with the Primal Split. So if they want to bring enough resources to get rid of In Your Dream, or they can think about bringing him mid to help defend the tower, but it looks like that's not even required. So that's a second Elder Dragon form usage wasted, and this is really important for raiding, because a DK lineup, you thrive on getting these early towers and opening up the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just, at least with the time that he used it, it's going to be up for when that next siege creep is there. Going to be about a minute or so's time. That's about how long the siege creep takes to be able to get to the mid tier 1 tower. So they're not completely hamstringing themselves, but I do want to see a little bit stronger of a rotation coming through from Army Geniuses next time that they're able to make this one work.
We're going to need some deep vision around mid as well to play with from Army Geniuses. You need to see where the supports are playing on Talon, and well, those supports are also starting to pick up some levels, but they feel like they can get the kill onto the Dragon Knight. A very early usage out of the coil, and the follow-up's not going to be there. Meanwhile, down bottom, 23 Savage in a little bit of trouble. He does have the reincarnation to play with at the moment. No one's TPing down, and Savage will just lose his ultimate. So no extra follow-up there from Talon. They won't be able to protect at least the respawn. Top lane though, there we go. That's the rotation I was looking for. The Primal Split with 2 supports instead. Let's see if they're going to have the damage.
It's
the
just
Cyclones
a
is able to set up for the supports to rotate, but the Sky, is it going to be enough to hold back Talon? Even the Rubik's going to look to get involved as well. Narman, they have the Solar Guardian to help offset some of the damage, but they're able to cancel it instantly. Q with the Carapace, make sure that +1 is not a potential, and now Q, he finds his level 6 as well, off the back of the kill onto the Ursa, plays around with the Vendetta, and secures a double kill for Talon.
The Q difference, he's looking to make sure that, oh, nice Manta usage, or not Manta, the Bottle Illusion. It's as good as the Manta though, with Makoto able to get that one out, dodge out the stun coming through from Mamang Dire. But that's the Q difference, right? Hometown buff, he wants to make sure that his absence is not noticed anymore. He's like, I'm back, I'm ready to try and carry my team across the line.
Your dream again. Not going to try and chase the Ursa down, but it did TP up here, so I wonder if... Oh, Puck mid... Oh, Puck mid lane. Makoto going down to Mamang Dire along with Narman. Beautifully done here from Army Geniuses.
There's a little bit of pressure being put up onto this top side by Hyde on his own. He's just like, well, we'll try and just keep heal bombing this creep wave, push it into the tower, keep the siege creep alive for as long as possible. You do have a rotation coming up here, though, from Mamang Dyer, as we were saying that, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch anyone of importance. Although, ooh, the TP from Hyde.
Ooh. Very close in mid lane. Look at the wraparound, though. KP trying to block off the escape avenue. Naaman's going to look to TP in as well. It's a lot of damage onto KP, but they'll get the kill onto Varese.
That's for your impertinence.
Importantly as well, it gives KP a charge in the Urn of Shadows, so he's going to have a little bit more regen for himself. I don't think he can necessarily go for some of these solo pickoffs, but it does mean that he gets into that Spirit Vessel a little bit earlier because of the amount of damage that he's able to output there. And against this Dragon Knight, even against the Dawnbreaker, right? Until they get that BKB, that spell immunity, Cinderbrew plus that is just going to be a crazy amount of damage. So I really want them to be emphasizing that Spirit Vessel as much as possible for KP. And thankfully for him, I think he's not too far away from it. Only about 550 gold away.
Which is going to be important, like you mentioned, and we'll see how he's able to transition to this next set of items, because of a Scepter, if the Brewmaster is able to pick that one up, incredibly important for his team fighting, and they might have some difficulties with dealing with KP. We mentioned how the Cyclone could just really cut away the effectiveness of the Ursa throughout some of the team fights, and that could put him in a limited window where he needs to get kills with that BKB, because we were mentioning Radiant. Like, this is a team where Dazzle thrives on long drawn-out fights. Wraith King can like long drawn-out fights as well with the Reincarnation, and if you have that second Scepter to play with on the Brewmaster, that can further your potential to win those fights.
Yeah, I think that's why it's been a good choice by In Your Dream that he's chosen to go for this Battle Fury on the Ursa. You're like, I need farm. I need to make sure that I'm just sitting back, and I've got 4 reasonably active heroes on my team that are going to be able to make the space for me. We saw previously with Makoto trying to go for that Dream Coil onto the Dragon Knight. Maybe it was a not-so-great decision, but honestly, even if the support duo was there, the Dazzle and the Nyx Assassin, I still don't think that DK dies. I feel like you're in this weird position early on where you're just not going to be able to kill anyone of real significance when you're thinking from Talon's perspective, right? Until that Spirit Vessel comes online, no one dies unless you're popping like a Brewmaster ultimate.
Do you feel like either team is happier with the status quo that we have at the moment? Of course, 12 minutes in, very minimal net worth lead. The kills are pretty even as well. But is there a team that's kind of a little bit more, yeah, I guess with the status quo, happy?
I think they're both happy and sad with a bunch of different things, right? I feel like Army Geniuses are very happy with how the lanes went. Right now, it's only 23 Savage that had a really good lane. And even then, DB's still got a healthy amount of farm. You can, once we look back towards the bottom side of the map, he does have that Celestial Hammer where he's instantly able to clear out those skeletons. Even just the fire damage on the ground deals with them a little bit once they respawn. And the thing that they're not so happy about is that they've used 2 or 3 Elder Dragon forms around that mid tower and barely have tickled it in the damage department. So they've freed up space for the Ursa and they've won their lanes, but they haven't taken the map control that I feel they really need to start to snowball this game before the Brewmaster gets some of those early items, the Spirit Vessel, and starting to go into that refresher.
Do you feel like maybe the next play on the books for Army Geniuses to kind of build some momentum up is looking towards his bottom tier 1 tower and trying to finally get an objective off the back of the Elder Dragon form?
Potentially. I mean, they're going to want to maybe play around the Solar Guardian a little bit, but maybe that is the strat, because you've got this Nyx Assassin. Obviously, the previous usage of it didn't work out too well. It was a double kill going the way of Talon. Maybe it is just that. Rally around the Dawnbreaker before they're actually ready to fight on Talon's side. He's got it available in about 14 seconds, but I mean, realistically, all you need to be waiting for is that Spike Carapace to be popped, and then you're ready to go again.
Yeah, which is going to prove to be a bit of an issue here, because the Dawnbreaker really wants to be playing on the opposite side of the map. You have this capability where you're able to play a dead lane, get a lot of farm, and then always join a team fight. And with this Nyx Assassin answer, it really takes that potential off the cards. And now the Dawnbreaker can't play how you would usually expect this hero to play him. 99% of the games, if we even want to use that, it could be a little bit lower, but it's just really going to make it difficult now for DB. And of course, he is not overly comfortable on the position 3. We see he's had a very good lane so far, and his Dawnbreaker has always been something they've been able to flex, but it's definitely going to switch up his player style from what maybe would be used to on previous Dawnbreaker games.
He's playing a little bit in pubs, though. He's been spamming this out. He's been ready for this tournament. I mean, again, 150,000 US is a lot to be able to play for. So for a team like Army Geniuses that doesn't necessarily get that opportunity a lot, they are taking this incredibly seriously, just making sure that they might be able to catch some of these teams out unawares. Maybe it's one of these instances where, it's a little bit earlier into the day. Maybe they're not fully awake just yet on Talon's side. Obviously, they've just come from the major, right? Jet lag is still setting in. It's a best of one. If you're able to catch them off guard, get a surprise victory, maybe you're one of those teams that gets through into the playoffs.
And all of a sudden you win one series, you're into the grand finals, and then anything can happen in a best of 5. And anything can happen in a best of 1 as well. Look at KP. A little bit of shout out to the crowd as well.
Always the entertainer. Speaking of the crowd as well, it's, of course, the event taking place in Thailand, in Hat Yai. I want to go there so bad, man. I've never been to Thailand before, and it's just one of those places where it's like, everyone's really nice, the food is great, the culture's amazing, everything's cheap as well, which is great. Inexpensive, not cheap. Cheap makes it feel not so great, but inexpensive. I mean, I read stuff about like being able to take a tuk-tuk across the city for about $2, which is great. Get some nice mango sticky rice, get some boat noodles, get some... See, I'm not as much into the pad Thai. I'm a pad CU kind of guy. What sort of Thai dishes do you like?
Oh god. I mean, I am that's a really good question. I was just gonna say, you know all your foods, and then there's me over here that is struggling a little bit. I mean, I don't mind some pad Thai.
I gotta take you out sometime. I gotta take you out to the local Thai places. They're not as good as Thailand, but I have this on a Thai student's word that it's almost as good. So that's good enough for me. Actually, that's not good enough for me. I want to go to Thailand still. I want to go to Hat Yai.
I mean, it would be incredible to be able to go over there and experience the culture and see what they have as well. And I think that's the one beautiful thing. I mean, we mentioned it earlier just with the opening ceremony that kind of shows some of the background and some of the traditional dances and everything like that, just giving us a little bit of a teaser of what can happen in Hat Yai.
I mean, if you're in Thailand or even Malaysia, like it's really close to the Malaysian border, Hat Yai, it's free to go to this event. There is no entry fee involved in this. So basically all you need to do is pay for the accommodation and I guess transport. And then you just got a big Dota event with 8 great SEA teams. So if you're there, I would take the opportunity to go if I lived relatively local, wouldn't you?
Oh, without a doubt. You've got one SEA team who's going to be going over to TI, and you'll have more than likely a second in there as well. Yeah,
no, we've got 2 now. They're both here, Boom and Fnatic.
Very good point. Just past my mind, and yeah, well, sorry, I should say there's a potential for a third then, because you got the likes of Talon battling it out. Of course, they are really up there in contention to be able to make it over to Singapore.
Well.
Yeah, new SMG is going to be exciting to see how they're able to shape up, and really for a lot of the other teams as well, it's just going to be that training ground, really working together with some of these new rosters, trying to build up that chemistry and get yourselves ready to go for the TI qualifiers. But we are back underway here. Of course, our first series of the day. It's all best of ones for the group stages.
It's really just all in Army Genius's hands right now in terms of how they want to actually look to play this. I mean, you've got the Dawnbreaker ultimate ready and available, and we can see a few movements coming through from the boys to start to connect through onto him. They really want to make sure that they're putting a little bit more emphasis down towards the bottom side of the map. Again, opening up space for him to be able to farm. I don't think you're really in a state where you want to pop the BKB and then Solar Guardian, but he might be forced to do it. So that's a big reasoning behind why DB is looking to emphasize, like I was saying before, first item, BKB. I like it.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Do see though that the Army Geniuses, they do have some heroes starting to transition down to bottom, and meanwhile for Talon as well, they've already got KP smacking away the top tower. They did look for a smoke and trying to catch someone out, farming up defensively inside the jungle, but Talon unfortunately not going to be successful, but it does now open up the map with this tier 1 tower going down.
structures are fortified.
Saw a couple of TPs used as well, and I mean, they've left the mid tower kind of unguarded. You've got 23 Savage just getting connected through a couple of supports. He's doing a good amount of damage into this, even without the skeletons. It's going to start falling relatively quickly. So it's not like you have anyone that's amazing at being able to clear out this creep wave outside of maybe the Dawnbreaker, but yeah, you can just see how much emphasis Talon are putting onto this. They're saying, we need to take this tower.
Yeah, they can defend it.
Yeah, it's just a little too slow by Army Geniuses, right? If you have the illusory orb from the Rubik there a little bit sooner, if you have the Dawnbreaker there, that doesn't happen. So maybe this is one of those instances where DB, he obviously is capable of playing the offlane, but it does feel like the offlane's role has changed a little bit. You can't just be a soul-pushing hero. Maybe you can if you're going like a Beastmaster and a Visage or a Lycan, but not a Dawnbreaker. Your role is still to push out lane someone.
Bottom outpost, we do see them starting to TP down. Looks like DB's going to be in a bit of trouble. It's Mikoto along with KP stepping in to offer the assistance. And that's going to be enough required to get the kill. DB goes down, and we'll see if KP is going to be able to transition this into another kill with the Primal Split charged up. Trying to catch out one of the members on Army Geniuses, but they will make it safely back to the tier 2. I think this is safe enough. Let's see what the call is going to be.
Safe.
23 Savage is moving over. Oh, is it
not
safe? Oh my lord, and even Mikoto behind the tower. Coil dropped onto 2, but they get the instant stun among Daya. Beautifully done. A Dragon Tail out, able to kill off Mikoto, but still Talon, they've got the numbers advantage. They can swarm behind the objective and kill off 4 members of Army Geniuses.
Not too often that happens, you know, 15 minutes into a game, diving past a tier 2 tower, but I guess they are relatively tanky enough. It was a great use of the Carapace coming through from Q again, really punishing the fact that Naaman wants to use that illusory orb for the potential to push things out in your dream. Kami-sama, you can't just be farming so greedy.
And they condemn the greed, a TP out. Oh, they've just got the damage. A last tick from Hyde, getting rid of the Ursa's life, and now they can reclaim some of the jungle as well. This is a big couple of sequences for Talon.
There's no reason for them to stop playing up towards this top side of the map now, right? You've got the Desolator, I believe, actually coming out to 23 Savage now, yes. So they want to put emphasis onto this Roshan. You're going up against an Ursa. This is what you need to do. You need to make sure that you're taking away a lot of the, not necessarily win conditions, but progression conditions, I guess I could call them.
They're coming out to take the fight.
Yeah.
Risha's going to be in some trouble. The rest of Army Geniuses, they do not want to continue to take the skirmish as soon as they lose that ward on the high ground. And with the Skyreth Mage going down, Talon easily able to back up and reclaim the pit.
Just instant punish. That's one of the name of the game, basically, when you look at this tier 1 Dota. You need to make sure that you're able to get in, punish a support that rotates on his own. I honestly don't think it would have changed much if you had someone else looking to babysit him there, but you just can't walk up into this Roche pit on its own without the entire team. And, with that, they're going to be able to claim the first Roshan, actually giving it over to Mikoto, which, again, I don't hate. 23 Savage, he's farming up really well, got a good amount of net worth, good amount of HP, of course has the second life as well, and like I was mentioning during the draft, they've got 4, maybe even 5 counters towards this puck with the Army Geniuses hero picks, so why not protect him?
Guy is in a pretty good position to pop the smoke. I don't know if he was far enough forward to scout out Talon's position though, but it does look like Army Geniuses treating away, although the scan connects, so Mikoto just drops the coil without seeing who's in the tree line. They're going to find out that it is Naaman, so it's only the Rubik that goes down. There's not much for Talon to do down bottom. They might look to shove up the lane and look to take the tier 1, or they could consider about smoking again and moving to top where 23 Savage is.
It's just a question of who they find.
Among died. Great reactions, but can he get away fast enough? A blink into the river, and now they've got the ward to look to play with as well. Mikoto's going to jump back in. He's got to be cautious. The blink will come out shortly from among Dire. He's not going to tick out to the Witchblade though, but the rest of Talon starting to sweep once again down to bottom. Mikoto should be able to find the vision up shortly. Waning Rift into the last right click, and beautifully done. You mentioned that Mikoto's playing into multiple counters, but this guy always proves to have an incredible game regardless of the matchups.
Yeah, I wonder what the objective really was there from Army Geniuses, right? Because you made a rotation with the Ursa, so clearly they're feeling like they need burst damage to be able to kill someone before they are able to escape. So Puck or Brewmaster are the ones, right? The Wraith King, you're going to have enough TP points to be able to have some sort of connection, but unless they found the Brewmaster, that's probably not going to work out too well because the Puck had the second life, and all the while that you were trying to go for that rotation attempt, 23 Savage was farming. So it's pretty rare that you're going to have a Wraith King with a Desolator and no cleave until he's level 20, being able to outscale an Ursa with Battle Fury. So it just feels like a little bit of an odd movement coming through there. If you're going to make that smoke, it's got to be the Wraith King you kill in my eyes.
KP? Among Die jumps, but there's no other heroes looking to commit. In two minds, it seems like Army Geniuses are at the moment. Down 4,000 gold. Of course, Makoto's still playing with the Aegis, but doesn't seem like they're too aware of how they need to react to the advantage that Talon have been able to accumulate among Dire. There's the jump in, the chain control. Is it going to be perfect? Looks like that's not the case as they're able to reposition the puck to the left. Now 23 Savage will enter the fight, keeling off the sky, and the rest of Talon sweep towards the DK's location as Mamong dies out of the count, and Talon, they don't even lose the Aegis.
Oh, this is an absolute disaster for Army Geniuses, right? Like, I'm not sure what's going through their minds right now. They're making multiple rotations to try and kill a puck with Aegis, and in the meantime, 23 Savage just sat top with his Desolator and his skeletons with no one pushing out the wave, so he was able to take that one, and now he's just moved towards mid, and he's going to take mid tier 2 tower.
He's going to be in some trouble here on the Ursa. Makoto's still playing with the claw if required, even a haste rune as well. So look at Makoto just playing out of reach of the Ursa. They can't get that little bit of damage required to get rid of the Aegis. They're trying to cancel off the Solar Guardian. That's where DB's BKB is able to protect him. So at least the Dawnbreaker is going to be able to enter the fight. They're trying to target down the Dazzle for the moment, but even Hyde seems like a difficult hero to be able to kill off. Finally, they'll secure it, but meanwhile, Ursa goes down, and KP, with his Primal Split, is able to kite DB to oblivion as Army Geniuses. All they find is Hyde's life.
Don't you love power runes? Just Puck with that haste, able to completely kite out that Ursa. I mean, there aren't too many other heroes that are able to do it. Of course, the Brewmaster split does help things a little bit, just toss him up into the air, but Puck, he just styled on him right there. In Your Dream was made to look kind of foolish by Makoto. And again, all the while, 23 Savage extending his net worth lead. Nearly level 18, doesn't even, again, have that cleave yet. And he's 4,000 net worth ahead of the Ursa. He's pushed in both mid and top tower on his own.
They gotta be cautious. Savage is alone. They look to make the play up top from Talon, but they're not playing with all their members down bottom, protecting the Wraith King. Amatogos is strong at the moment. They're forced to drop the Mystic Flare to secure the first life, and now In Your Dream's gonna pounce instantly, but again, they can reposition the Wraith King out to safety. KP might be the sacrificial lamb, but the ultimate still being on cooldown for the Brewmaster, so there will be no escape from the offlaner of Talon.
Space create, that's all it was. There's nothing wrong with that at all, although he is kind of closing in on Inazag and Scepter there on KP. Only one component away, so the fact that they're forced to maybe slow that one down a little bit is somewhat concerning, but you don't want to be losing your Wraith King. Up until the after the laning stage, 23 Savage has had basically a flawless game, able to do whatever the hell he wants across the map. They didn't use that glyph though, so if they were looking to make another push on Talon, they will at least have some sort of a way to respond to this.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
See how much net worth they've been able to accumulate. Q is venturing a little bit too far forward. Has still got the Force Staff to play with. He's just toying with Army Geniuses. Knows the rest of the team is soon to connect, and now with a coil into 23 Savage's stun, both supports get obliterated out of the map. Narman will delay the inevitable, but he too goes down as Talon continuing to grow this lead.
Yeah, just continue to push on forward. This is where that glyph might need to come into the equation, although this time around DB is making the rotation back, so the Celestial Hammer should be able to clear out these skeletons, as well as the actual creep wave. KP taking a little bit of damage underneath this tower.
He might also take a lot of damage with the minus armor. They got the Dazzle helping out, the Deso as well, but you do see, like, this Dawnbreaker with a couple of hits, half his health is gone.
I really want to see DB go into that Blink Dagger next. It's so important that you're able to start smashing down some of these backline supports. Dazzle's just been free to do whatever the hell he wants most of this game.
You've got a Blink on in your dream as well, so it really feels like it's priority #1 for Army Genius. Just get onto the supports in the backline. You need Division to be able to enable that, though, and they don't have the greatest wards out on the map to play with. Jump in, who they found? Q once again, but the rest of Talon in the neighborhood to look to turn this around. A defensive BKB coming up from among Dire with the backline, though. Coil leashing 3 heroes together. So Savage, he can just start to pivot his direction, killing off both the supports once again. As, I mean, you mentioned that Savage has just free farmed this game, and we're seeing how big of an issue it is now that he's showing up to fights with all the net worth he's got. And they're even going to be able to catch out DB. We're playing around with the Starbreaker. He's still got the BKB in the arsenal as well, but 23 Savage gonna jump on forward. Doesn't have any way to go through the magic immunity, so DB will just escape.
I mean, he feels invincible. That's basically what Savage is thinking right now. He's like, well, what are you going to do? You used your BKB already. You can't fight into this puck anymore, at least until that comes off cooldown. And I believe Roshan is going to be coming up pretty soon. Yeah, oh, it's a very short timer, actually. Only around 30 seconds or so. So this is going to be very important for Army Geniuses to look to position themselves around. They should know that it has the potential to respawn shortly. And you've got this Ursa. He needs that Aghanim Shard. He needs something to be able to escalate his game back, because right now it's slipping out of Army Genius's fingers.
Yeah, and this is a really good spot for Talon to look to take the fight with the ward on the high ground. They just have so much control, and they're split on Army Geniuses. Great reactions with the blink out of the Ursa, but it looks like the rest of AG... What Ruby play with phase shift and jump out? I don't know what just happened there.
Ursa's only about 300 gold away from his BKB. Once he picks it up, I want to see an instant smoke come towards that Roche pit, because you do not have a lot of time to be able to play around with that. Got the Desolator, of course, coming through from the Wraith King, so Roshan should look to explode fairly quickly.
Oh boy,
They're gonna be
you
quick
got
enough.
Scepter. I mean, we've seen how difficult one of KP's Brew Ultimates has been, and now you're going to be forced to deal with the second. And we'll see.
I mean, they're
Talon.
just, you can just see there, Ursa's like scared. I feel like you can't afford to be playing scared in that mid lane right now. He is just not wanting to leave the base because he's so close to that BKB, but again, you can't take the chances at this level of Dota that, well, hopefully Roshan isn't up. I feel like you just don't win the game.
Oh, look at this, Q. Scouts out for Ish. They're actually going to look to try and deal with the Sky instead of the Dawnbreaker, maybe feeling like Dawn can always just BKB TP out.
Under attack.
I do like this movement where they're able to avoid where they're most likely to be set up on Talon, but again, they can't be making these stutter steps up towards the top side. They need to go. They need to commit to this.
Rush, it's falling fast, but Mungdai needs to jump. The Aegis picked up from Makoto, and we'll see if they're going to move north here on Talon. They're able to do so. They might catch Army Geniuses when they're not completely grouped up as a team, and Makoto's already starting the fight onto DB, down to half health. He's got the BKB still to work with, but the damage is really starting to ramp up with the right clicks. DB's going to look for a TP out. He'll make it. Over towards the outpost, though, the rest of Army Geniuses, they're in trouble. Onto the Ursa they go. It's 23 Savage. He's got way too much net worth. Army Geniuses, they don't have the answers. There's now Savage. He can jump on forward, looking to target down among Dire, and even off to the northern side, Makoto is styling onto the Sky. The Mages, Talon have all the answers in this game. One, and now they can move up the higher ground.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much else that Army Geniuses can do now. I don't think they responded to the game. I don't think... they just played a cookie-cutter game, if I'm being completely honest, right? They pick the Dawnbreaker, they say, okay, I'm going to farm on the other side of the map, and I'm going to Solar Guardian in every single time that we need it for the fight. But Q has been in the right place, at the right time, every single time. I think... there was one time that we saw the BKB into the Solar Guardian usage, but they knew that he didn't have that because of what just happened towards the top side. So he tries to go there, he tries to save his team. Again, Q on the case, Spike Carapace. He just doesn't have that teamfight involvement at all. It really feels to me like he needed to be that frontline presence for this Army Geniuses lineup.
They're not done just yet. Why not? I mean, you still got Reincarnation, you got Primal Split, the Aegis, Mikoto. They're going to jump in. As soon as Army Geniuses show their faces, they'll make sure they're not going to be long for this world. Buybacks are available for Army Geniuses. That's really the only way they can turn this defense around, with the extra number of lives just to throw at Talon.
They're not even give away one life on 23 Savage either. They're just like, look, he's pretty damn valuable right now, even just with the overwhelming blink. That's how they're able to smash down a lot of these targets. DB's had AC queued up for the longest time. I want to see him get a blink dagger. He needs to be the one going in first. I want to see like a bad Spike Carapace usage for once. I want to see, you know, maybe a Grave used in onto the Brewmaster instead.
You just got the blink, so there we go.
It's all about the vision now, though, and Q is providing that to Talon.
And they got the ward by the triangle as well. So Talon looking to play with all the information they need to take the team fight. Q's going to be in with the initiation. Rubik's down and out of the count, and now In Your Dream is looking to find the answer, but Q's able to TP out. They'll turn their attention over to Hyde. That's a pretty important component to take out the fight, but it looks like still Talon, they are so far ahead. They can start to move towards the Ursa's location, just controlling In Your Dream. The Primal Split micro, what else you would expect coming out from KP, as they'll continue to chase him up to the high ground they go. In Your Dream not playing with a buyback, staying without all the other members of Army Geniuses, and among Dire, the last member to be killed off. That's a wipe, and it looks like Talon, they're going to move over and try and take these tier 4 towers. What a game 1 performance out of them.
Yeah, that should be game. It's just, Q's the MVP of this game, and he was missed in Arlington. He really is showing why he's such a key component to this team, being able to scout out, provide a great amount of vision. He even put up some of those deep wards inside of the Army Geniuses jungle towards the early stages of this game to be able to free up 23 Savage to farm as efficiently as he did. And then, of course, the Spike Carapace usage. They're just going straight tier 4s. They have no cause to play around, and that is Talon taking the first game of the Gamers Galaxy Dota Invitational.
Of course, it's a important game for them to pick up as well, considering how goddamn close a lot of the groups are. I mean, Group A and Group B, mentioned it's some incredibly competitive teams. So for Talon to come over, of course, potentially a little bit jet lagged and look as dominant as they did is going to be scary for some other teams in Group A.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, there was the potential for them to be caught out, right? There was the potential for the jet lag to be there. There was the potential for a slight adjustment because they hadn't been playing with Q for the past, week and a bit. But clearly, they were able to shrug that off after what I felt was a pretty good Army Geniuses draft. Talon just played the map better. They understood what the important objectives were at certain times. Take away the Roche from the Ursa lineup. Be able to take towers. Don't go for a puck with Aegis when he's already very hard to kill. Like, just little things like that, I feel like it was what separated Talon and put them a little bit of a level above. So 1-0 scoreline for them. I think they're going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, without a doubt. We did see as well just how important it was for Army Geniuses to try and find these early towers, but Talon just with the recognition that we need to bring the numbers to defend that tier 1. We saw multiple times for not only the first Elder Dragon form, but the second one as well, where they brought both Hyde and Q to try and help Mikoto to shove out the lane, deal with the catapult, and that was really big for them because once you're not able to open up the map on Army Geniuses, then you can't look to invade the jungle. 23 Savage got incredibly farmed. You mentioned it multiple times. Like this Wraith King, he's just continuing to build this lead that probably they won't be able to compete with.
No, and that's because you'd taken towers, and they had by far the weaker tower taking lineup on Talon. It was really only Savage that has that potential to do it, right? And they just let him stand solo for the longest time. Obviously, the start of the game went well because, again, I felt the draft was good on Army Genius' side, but I just don't think you could afford to make just the solo TP rotation up here on the Skywrath Mage. That's never going to be able to solve anything. He doesn't have any kind of save, and right now, Ursa, he's gone this farming style, so maybe In Your Dream just going a little bit greedier. We saw there the first of the great Spike Carapace usages from Q, being able to interrupt that. This was actually his double kill, right? Getting that level 6 off the back of this, and yeah, very well deserved from him.
Yeah, and that was really what turned the tide. As soon as they were able to find that T1 tower top, we saw 23 Savage starting to get very active early, and this is definitely the power of the Wraith King, where we saw he was able to, even pre-level 12, start to try and move towards some of the fights mid lane, take the T1 tower, whereas the Ursa, like, he can show up, but as soon as you lose that first Aegis, then the Ursa lineup can really start to fall behind, and this is just something that I feel like Talon were able to read perfectly well. We saw their movements across the map, just felt like they were multiple steps ahead of Army Geniuses.
Yeah, I feel like if there was anything that Army Geniuses could have potentially done, other than what we've already said, it was maybe just in your dream farming in places that Talon didn't want to be, right? You're not going to lose towers. Like, okay, Ursa's not going to prevent towers from going down, and you're not going to lose towers unless Wraith King is there, right? So as long as you've got vision on Wraith King, and as long as you've got the heroes to be able to prevent him from just freely hitting towers, Ursa could go to the other side of the map and farm. And even if they kill him, so what, right? You're going to have other people farming. You're going to have the 2 out of 3 lanes pushing out. So I feel like they're going to be in a relatively good spot. But, well, clearly, Talon, their experience, their shot calling, it was just slightly better than what Army Geniuses were able to muster this time around.
Yeah, and we also kind of... I'm trying to see, like, where maybe they went wrong as well, because we were mentioning, like, we liked their draft and they had a lot of heroes to look to address the puck and look to counter Mikoto, but I'm just looking back at the replays and just seeing, like, never really felt the impact of the sky.
I guess, but I feel like they weren't playing around some pretty easy vision spots enough, right? Like we just see on this replay, mid tier 1 tower for Radiant is still standing. That should almost never be the case. You've got a very easy high ground cliff ward to the right-hand side of that to play around, and you've got 2, let's say 2.5 heroes. No, they're just 2 heroes that are good at being able to deal damage into that tower in the Dawnbreaker and the Dragon Knight. You just got to set up your vision there, get your supports with their instant pick-off to be able to find, let's say, a Puck, let's say a Nyx that's looking to try and defend this, and then just take the tower. And then suddenly, Ursa's free to farm so much more areas. You can look to smoke inside the enemy triangle. They're going to give the MVP over to Mikoto.
Understandable.
I
get it. But as a support player that you are, Denog, you're always a little bit biased. I understand giving over to Q, but I also think Mikoto, he went 12-2-11. Like, Mikoto had a goddamn good game, and we were mentioning, like, they counted him in at least 4 heroes. You could even argue 5 as well. So, I'm too annoyed that Mikoto got it. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah, I would put Mikoto on the level of Q. I think Savage just did what he needed to, and it was... because of everything that happened, what should have been a much harder game, particularly in the early stages for Hyde and KP, just become a lot easier. So, big props for Talon to be able to get that first victory on the board, but it's not all smooth sailing. They've got other games to go. I believe they've got one more today as well as one tomorrow to be able to get through if they are looking to break through into that next round, the semi-finals, the knockout, the playoffs. And, well, before that happens, though, we're going to need to see some of the other teams in the in Group A, and that is Boom and Polaris, the other 2 teams there. So, based on what we've been seeing over the little bit, you would have to say that Boom are the favorites, but what do you think about this Polaris roster? Do you think they could maybe pull off a surprise matchup?
Yeah, I think they could be a dark horse team at this tournament, because we saw how they were able to shape up in the ESL qualifiers. They were definitely starting to pick up a lot of momentum there. They kind of fell a little bit short in that last qualification series, but with AU stepping in, former coach, now playing for them, of course, is a player that a lot of people are really comfortable. I should say a player that a lot of people know through many years of playing Dota for Southeast Asia. So yeah, I feel like Polaris have what it takes, but it does seem like we have an interview coming up, however, so we are going to chuck ourselves over to that one.
เราเตรียมมาดีกว่าครับแบบเรารู้ว่าเขาจะเล่นอะไรแล้วแค่เตรียมตัว
อันนี้คือเราไม่ได้ดึงนะแต่ว่าเราบอกว่าเราเตรียมมาดีกว่าเท่านั้นเราไม่ได้บอกว่าทีมตรงข้ามเตรียมไม่ดีกว่าเราแต่ว่าเราเตรียมมาตั้งใจเตรียมมาซ้อมนานไหมครับทัวร์นาเมนต์นี้
ไม่ได้ซ้อมเลยครับ
อ๋อถ้าพี่พูดตรงๆแบบมันเป็นพรสวรรค์เราได้ไหม
พอดีไม่ได้ซ้อมเพราะว่าทีมเพิ่งกลับมาจากแข่งเมเจอร์แล้วยูไม่ได้ไปด้วยครับก็เลยเวลาไม่มีเลย
มีคำถามสัมพันธ์จากที่บ้านมาเลยคือมีอะไรฝากถึงเขาเรียกว่าตำนานโดต้าในวงการเมืองไทยไหมพี่ดีพี่เต้ยมีอะไรฝากถึงไหม
ครับก็อยากจะเจอตัวตึงภาคใต้ที่นี่ครับ
อยากจะเจอเหมือนกันแต่ว่าเขาจะมาหรือเปล่าก็ไม่รู้ก็ลุ้น
ครับ
อยู่นะครับ มีอะไรฝากถึงตำนานไหมครับ
เต้ยเหรอครับ
ใช่ครับ
ก็อยากให้เขาไปฝึกแบ็คโฮดีกว่านี้ครับ
โอเคไม่ซีเรียสนะคะเราอยู่กันแค่นี้นิดๆหน่อยๆกันก็ไปฝึกแบ็คโฮนะครับพี่เต้ยยังไงเดี๋ยวเราพักกันสักครู่เดี๋ยวมาดูว่าเกมหน้าจะสนุกแค่ไหนกันครับ
Oh, we saw the interview there with Talon, and of course, with the Game 1 performance that we had out of them, it's always beautiful to be able to hear from some of the lads. Interesting as well with what they're able to say.
Oh, what did they say? What did they say?
Don't you worry. I was able to translate every single word, and I'm sure all the other viewers were able to do so as well. Danong, why the hell are you putting me on the spot like that? I, of course, are able to speak Thai. Didn't you know that?
I know very basic Thai. Very basic. I could say hello, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, I know every single word possible. I'm fluent, and no need to test me at all. But this is just our first series in the books. We do have a second series coming up shortly. It's going to be Boom against Polaris. It's going to be about a 15-minute break, so we'll see you guys after the break with our second series of the day.
เ
Setting this at maximum power. Laser and charged particle beam weapons.
Weapons activated.